as our heroes continue their ambitious journey to build a spaceship in order to get to the moon to stop the Y-Man. We are reintroduced to our characters. Tsukasa, the strongest primate high schooler. Gen, the shallow mentalist. Suika, the great detective girl. Kaseki, the god-tier craftsman. Chrome, the inspired science user. Kirasame, the uptight thrower specialist. Kinro, the uptight spear specialist. Matsukaze, the warrior of revenge. And Ginro, the scumbag warrior. Ginro complains as he grips on to the ship's poles while it rains. We are also reintroduced to Ryusui, the leader of the ship, and Senku, the leader of science, who are having an argument over the quickest route to San Francisco from Tokyo. Ryusui explains to the crew and Senku that it is better to travel in a straight line, which is known as the rum line, to get to their destination. He explains that this makes navigation easier, although it would take 70 days to arrive. Senku then counters by telling Ryusui it's better to use the Great Circle route, traveling along the shores and land, because that would be the shortest distance. They test this by marking the rope from each point to confirm. Senku explains that this journey would only take 40 days. Ryusui argues that this route would put tremendous stress on the crew. Ryusui urges Senku to take this method, but Senku explains to him that they won't make it in time to catch the yellow dent corn, crucial for making revival fluid. Everyone is on the fence about their logic as they are both right, and it starts to divide the team. Ryusui tries to compromise and meet in the middle, but Senku is adamant about the time. Suddenly, they are suited up for a game of poker. Ryusui enlists Gen as his help, and this disturbs Senku because he knows that Gen will cheat. Just then, Kohaku joins Senku to even the odds. He tells her to keep an eye on Gen because of his cheating. The rest of the crew then start to place bets on whether Senku or Ryusui will win. As the first 5 cards for Senku and Ryusui are drawn, Gen blatantly mixes up the cards. Luckily, Kohaku with a keen eye stops Gen from cheating. As the game reaches its climax, Senku wins the game with a royal straight flush, shocking everyone. He explains that he had used urashiol on his tuxedos to mark key poker cards in order to win. Everyone is stunned by this revelation, as he got the oil from the recorder. The reason why only Senku knew is because he has sensitive skin. After the match is completed, they have a casino party on the ship, where they share laughs and beer and build camaraderie. In a flashback, 2 weeks before Senku and the crew prepare to leave for America, the wheat that is being prepared is soggy. They try various methods to turn the wheat into liquid. Senku then tells them after it's stored, it will ferment on its own, becoming alcohol. Back to the present, Ryusui compliments Senku for creating such a good beer. Senku explains that beer is the perfect payment for laborers. Ryusui, curious, tries to figure out why Senku doesn't drink, and he explains to him that if everyone drinks, the ship wouldn't have any order. Ryusui explains to Senku that he needs to loosen up and orders a drink from the bar. Francois tells Senku that she will make an alcoholic beverage, and they are intrigued. Senku shows the team that you can make gum syrup out of wheat and boiling sulfuric acid and barium carbonate, shocking Gen and Kaseki. They also take warm milk too, make yogurt along with a lemon to create a lactic drink. Francois is praised by Suika for how great the drink tastes. Francois tells Suika to put the cucumber garnish into the drink and try it. Realizing it's watermelon flavored, Suika gets excited. Francois calls the drink Two-Side Sunshine, impressing everyone. She is praised as the master of hospitality. She then makes a drink based on Tsukasa's personality, named Grenadine and Tonic, comparing it to the passion in his heart. Tsukasa drinks and is impressed. Next, she makes a drink for Gen called Spicy Cola. Kohaku's drink is called Spicy Cinderella, and finally makes a drink for Senku called Three-Layered Tea Latte, symbolizing his complexity. Later, Ginro and Kinro ask Matsukaze to drink with them, but he refuses. He explains that he lost his master and crew to the petrification beam. As he explains his story, Francois comes with a drink to calm his nerves called matcha beer. He takes a sip and collapses, signaling that he can't handle alcohol. Later, he wakes up to the team training. He then recalls him simping over Tsukasa and instantly apologizes. Tsukasa tells him that he needs training instead. Tsukasa and Senku revive Hyoga to help Matsukaze with training. He agrees under the condition that they revive Maz and Homura. Jinro, intimidated by the training, calls Kinro to assist as they both are at the front of the boat. Later, Ryusui shares his knowledge with the crew on how Vikings are impressive sailors. He then goes on to explain to the crew that the reason they were able to navigate the sea so effectively was because they had a sunstone which gave them direction. Senku tells them a GPS would be better. He then explains that they are coordinating with Ruri back in Japan. It is revealed that they use hourglasses and sundials to give proper accuracy of the ship. They receive shortwave messages every hour, and they mark the time. Kaseki is seen using a device that tells them what time it is. Ryusui explains to them how they got their precise location as long as they have sunny days. Later, the sky turns cloudy and there's a thunderstorm. Ryusui wants to rely on sailors' instinct, but Senku knows that they will lose more than a few days without the sun. Chrome then remembers a rock that they got from a treasure chest. He lets Kohaku chisel it down to make a sunstone. The crew is overjoyed to learn of this revelation. Ryusui then likens their voyage to the Americas to that of what the Vikings did back in the day. Senku, impressed, smiles at Chrome. Now equipped with the sunstone and the GPS, they push their way forward. They pass astonishing landmarks and sights along the way, finally making it to America. Overjoyed, the crew finally reaches the Americas. Hyoga tells everyone that they are hungry, and Kirisame's stomach begins to growl. Tsukasa tells them that they need protein because of the training. As Homura alerts the crew, Senku looks out and discovers that the land is full of statues, shocking everyone. Gen figured that this would happen as they reached the New World. Gen held on to the belief that somehow the people of America would have been able to fight off the petrification. As they cross the Golden Gate Bridge, they are remorseful. Taiju, hopeful, reminds the crew that when they get the corn, the kingdom of science will revive humanity. Senku reaffirms that he will revive all 7.8 billion people. The crew then jumps off the ship in awe of the greenery. Ryusui tells them that they need to split up in 2 groups before they go on their exploration journey. Tsukasa readies his battle team. As the 2 vessels go upstream in search of corn, concerns arise from the team as they wonder if they are even on the right track as they go upstream. Senku assures them that they are in the region called the Corn Belt, and Chrome reaffirms with his optimism. As they continue to explore, they are then met by a horde of crocodiles. They attack Senku's ship, trying to inflict damage. Tsukasa and his team are excited because now they can finally get protein in the form of crocodile meat. Some of the crocodile meat is used to make burgers, compliments of Francois. The crew is amazed at the taste. Later, Tsukasa is seen storing crocodile meat. He then alerts Senku when he finds an ear of corn in a crocodile's stomach. Senku is excited and they continue the journey. While traveling, Senku explains that the corn's name is the yellow dent corn and they can easily extract oil from it. Optimistic, they continue to head upstream. Just then, Kohaku finds small particles in the water exciting the crew, but Senku is cautious. He questions why does corn just float so freely down the river. Later on, they call the main ship. Senku tells them that they have found corn, and everyone rejoices. Later on, that night, a mysterious person is seen being cornered by wolves. Just then, they destroy them effortlessly. Later on, Senku makes a light trap in order to catch European corn borers, which are called moths. This excites Senku because he is now sure that a boatload of corn is nearby. Kohaku is in awe of the butterflies, but Gen calls them moths, and they go back and forth. Tsukasa, cautious, looks into the forest as he senses bloodlust. Purple eyes gleam out of the trees as he smells gunpowder. Hyoga suspects that they have fallen into a trap. Tsukasa yells for everyone to take cover as bullets fly from the trees. Everyone scatters to safety. Ukyo identifies the fire as machine gun fire. Ryusui uses his captain maneuvers to escape gunfire. Senku and his team manages to escape. The mysterious person asks, why did they find out? Tsukasa is then thanked by everyone for his superhuman senses. The team is shaken as they try to figure out who was the attacker. Hyoga theorizes that they might be someone like Senku, who self-revived. However, Senku is excited and accepts the challenge. As they escape upstream, Taiju is surprised that there is another scientist that self-revived. Senku, however, is excited and explains that science is free and anyone can read up on it. Gen disagrees. Senku tells his team that their equipment is more advanced. Ukyo, shocked, hears the noise of an engine and alerts the team. Kohaku is confused because she doesn't see any boat even though the engine noise is getting louder. Ukyo then alerts the team to the sound of an airplane. Senku is in awe of the machine. Taiju snaps Senku out of his gaze to ask for direction. Ukyo explains to the team that the only reason the plane would fly low is because the pilot wants to attack. Ryusui and the crew go full throttle trying to escape. As they maneuver through the river trying to escape the plane, they are attacked. One of the boats capsizes, throwing everybody off. Ue tries to shoot at the plane, but is stopped by Hyoga because he is wasting ammo. As the plane circles round for another attack, it flies into the sun to shield its presence. Reacting quickly, Senku grabs a flask and mixes a substance with salt water. He tosses it to Kirisame to throw at the plane. Some of the team act as a flotation device for her to stand on, and she tosses it towards the plane, disabling its engine. The pilot is surprised that they have a countermeasure for his attack, calling it impressive as the pilot crashes into the forest. The team celebrates the small victory. Simultaneously in the forest, the pilot is being told about the contents of the gas, which is called acetylene. They explain that 1% of it can stall out an engine, but is harmless to humans. He continues to explain the contents, but is cut off by the pilot and states that the enemy has a scientist as well. Back at the river, the boat has been restored, but some are worried that the pilot might come for another attack, and they should run away. But Senku and Ryusui are excited because they plan to take the plane. As they navigate through the forest, they find the abandoned plane in a tree. Taiju then cuts the tree down, and they acquire it. Senku and Ryusui are overjoyed as they travel with the broken airplane upstream. Jen expressed that Senku was in awe of seeing the airplane when it attacked, thinking that it was awesome, and Senku affirms. Kohaku tells Senku that she found corn kernels and leaves on the plane, signaling that their base is in a field somewhere. Tsukasa suggests that they should pursue the enemy even though it would pose a risk. Jen is curious as to who they are going to send to track the enemy. Senku then explains that they have waited years to get to this point and are not going to waste the opportunity to get the corn. Jen, Kohaku, and Chrome are sent to track the pilot. As they pass through the forest, Chrome asks if the direction that they're heading in is correct. Jen then shows him the footprints that he has been following. After following the footprints for a while, Jen thinks it's easy, but comes to the revelation that the enemy is luring them into a trap. This then piques Jen's interest. Jen feels that he has to redeem himself from the poker loss. He then leaves the party, telling them that he will leave a flower trail for them to follow. Later, he comes to a dead end where he is cornered by the pilot. He tells the pilot that he is unarmed, and he believes him. He tells Jen that he was hoping that the others would come because he had a preemptive strike set up for them. He then tells Jen to follow him because he has a lot of questions for him as he wants him to meet his scientist. The pilot leads him to their base where they pass a huge cornfield along with tractors and livestock as well as a runway. As they enter the lab, the pilot calls out to the doctor, whose name is Zeno. Jen compares him to Senku, but more grown and professional. The pilot then grabs Jen and puts his hands and foot into a bucket of salt water. Dr. Zeno introduces the pilot as Stanley Snyder, who is a soldier that is working for them. He then questions Jen about his identity. Jen explains to him that he was a magician from Japan. Surprised, Zeno tells Stanley that they were able to make it to the Americas in a stone world. Jen, suspicious, figures out that he is hooked up to a lie detector machine, knowing that he accepts the challenge. Jen cries as he tells Zeno that he ran away because the leader overworked him. Zeno deduces that Jen is either a skilled liar or incredibly honest. Jen says within himself that he is going to work undercover. Stanley suggests all they need to do is take down Senku, shocking him. Zeno then asks for the name of the scientist in charge. Jen, knowing that Senku is useless in battle, tells Zeno that Taiju is the scientist. Stanley Snyder introduces Jen as the first visitor from the New World to Dr. Zeno. Jen, observant, labels Zeno as a professional scientist. Kohaku and Chrome are seen observing Zeno's establishment. Chrome, concerned, takes note of all of the buildings to report back to Senku. Chrome also asks about Jen, claiming that he probably has already infiltrated the base, with Kohaku affirming. Kohaku calls Jen the most trustworthy liar, confusing Chrome. Later, Chrome reports back to the Perseus to give the team information, but is stopped by Senku. Ukyo, concerned, thinks that the enemy is always one step ahead of them all the time, and Ryusui agrees. Tsukasa realizes that the enemies are also scientists and might pick up on the frequency. Tsukasa questions Chrome and asks him who is with him. Not fully grasping the situation, he answers in confusion. Tsukasa thinks that Gen has infiltrated the enemy's base and is pretending to align with them. Senku agrees with this theory and hangs up the phone, shocking everyone. It is explained that if they stay on the phone too long, the enemy will pick up the signal because they do not know how advanced the enemy's science is. Ukyo, even more concerned, tells Senku that they used to have an advantage with science, but not anymore. Senku laughs, accepting the challenge. Just then, the phone rings, and Magma answers it, thinking it's Chrome. He scolds him, but is surprised to know that Dr. Zeno has found the frequency. He introduces himself and apologizes for his poor Japanese. He then asks to speak to Dr. Taiju, and this shocks everyone. Senku laughs as he covers the microphone, knowing that Gen has tricked them. Taiju then transforms himself into a doctor and assumes the role. Taiju then scolds Zeno, telling him shooting at people with a machine gun is wrong. Zeno apologizes for this, but explains that he wanted to show them that their science is no match for his. He goes on to tell them that his Haber-Bosch plant has already been completed. Confused by his statement, Senku explains to his team that the plant is used to create ammunition. Taiju then congratulates Zeno for his accomplishments. Zeno, thinking that Taiju is a quick study, is impressed. The team is also impressed by Taiju's acting. Zeno goes on to tell them that they are professional, although they lack manpower. This confuses the group as there are plenty of statues around to revive. Ryusui then figures out that they do not have the revival fluid formula. Senku agrees with this revelation. Zeno, curious, then asks Taiju how they are able to revive the statues. Ryusui stops him from answering, stating that this is their only advantage and they might kill them if they give them the formula. Senku notes that they might be able to mass-produce the formula if they find out because of the large cornfields and nitric acid at the factory. Senku figures that they can overtake the plant and create the fluid to revive billions. Taiju then denies Zeno's request. Zeno accepts, then hangs up. Just then a plane is detected by Suika. She alerts the team, who are in shock. Stanley Snyder is amazed at the size of the boat. However, the plane doesn't attack, surprising them. Tsukasa surmises that the plane is a scout plane and they won't risk flying low, losing that as well. Taiju asks Senku how they are going to combat the enemy. Senku tells them that they have a plane as well. Kaseki, excited, already has the plane prepared and ready to go. The crew is delighted, but Ukyo tries to figure out how they are going to take off, as they don't have a runway. Senku tells them that they are going to convert the Perseus into an aircraft carrier. Kaseki powers up and is ready to go. Later, Magma talks to Yowei and Mantle. He tells them that they should be the ones to go and kill Zeno since they have a gun, and they will be remembered as the heroes of this generation. They then leave the ship to attack Zeno, but Nikki knocks some sense into them, calling them idiots, asking them why they would charge into an enemy with a machine gun. Tsukasa then suggests that they come up with a strategy. As they begin the strategy meeting, Senku gives their location, and Ukyo gives the enemy's location. Ginro, concerned, tells the team that the enemy also knows their location. Ukyo then explains that since the enemy has a scout plane, it makes no sense to run. Hyoga chimes in and tells the team that if the enemy is proper, they would use a speedboat to attack the Perseus as well as attacking from the sky with the scout plane. Ryusui then chimes in and tells them that they need to engage in a dogfight for air superiority. Senku agrees, concluding the meeting. The team then works hard on creating a runway on the Perseus. Minami is shocked at the progress and tries to figure out how the runway is going to work. Ryusui tells her that they only need 20 meters for a lightweight plane to take off. Senku then tells her that they will construct a grab wire for landing. Senku and Ryusui discuss who is going to be the pilot and all of the modifications that they are going to do to the plane, exciting them. Senku then explains to Minami that they are going to use bamboo for the wheels, making it lighter. Kaseki is surprised that Senku brought so much bamboo from Japan. Senku tells them that bamboo is an overpowered material and they will have the advantage because of it. Ryusui figures this is why they use skis instead of wheels. Senku thinks that skis may give them a chance to land outside the runway. Ryusui compliments them for being clever. Ryusui theorizes that the reason why they used the scout plane to pass over was to intimidate them, knowing exactly where they are. Back at the factory, Zeno tells Jen that they won't be escaping because of the scout plane. Just then, a mysterious woman walks into the lab, eating a piece of chicken, and asks about suppressing Senku and the team. Zeno tells her that the smarter they are, the more in fear they will be. Zeno, taking a more elegant approach, thinks that he should just assassinate the scientist, causing the team to fall apart. Jen agrees with Zeno, but asks if it could be done. Stanley Snyder then interjects, telling him that it could be done. Jen then internally apologizes to Taiju for putting him in this situation. Hyoga tells them that they have an escape plan, but Taiju doesn't even consider it. Hyoga tells them that the enemy also doesn't know. He goes on to tell the team that they should attack as soon as possible, catching them off guard. Senku is excited. Tsukasa then gives the instruction to the team to capture Dr. Zeno, Jen. Then realizes that no team can move, leading Senku and Zeno into an all-out war. Zeno is sure that the enemy scientist and his team won't escape, so he tells Jen about his plan to assassinate the enemy scientist. Zeno further reveals that since there's only one scientist, he plans to take him down to destroy the Youth Kingdom of Science. Just then, Stanley volunteers to carry out this mission, and Zeno assures Jen that Stanley will accomplish the mission. Thereafter, Jen decides that he needs to alert Taiju for oncoming danger. Later, Luna confides with Stanley, asking if he trusts this Jen guy. In response, Stanley explains to Luna that only a fool would trust an untrustworthy guy such as Jen. He further adds he is sure that Jen is a spy. Luna then quickly changes her stance, telling Stanley that she thought so as well. Just then, Max and Carlos try to keep up with their lady, Luna. However, they are too exhausted to carry on. Carlos even starts complaining, whereas Max just stays quiet, embracing all the heave lifting. There, Carlos notices Max's legs trembling. When Max tries to touch Carlos's leg, he trips and falls over Max, making all the water tanks fall. Seeing this, Luna is irritated by how annoying these guys are. Furthermore, she decides to carry all the weight by herself. But the two simps quickly get up and start fighting for who gets to help Luna carry all the stuff. Stanley then chimes in, telling Luna to let them carry the stuff since she's got to do work later on. In another scene, we see the Kingdom of Science working to complete the runway, and Ryusui sensing a shift in the atmosphere. After a while, Stanley reaches the designated location, climbs onto a tree branch, and begins scouting the place, after planting a device which apparently affects the speed of the bullet. He then takes out Zeno's sniper rifle and begins assembling it. After positioning himself, Stanley reveals to Luna that he plans to assassinate the enemy scientist. As expected, Luna is taken aback by the revelation, but she keeps her composure calm, realizing that she has to keep up with her cool personality. After she questions what she has to do, Stanley tells Luna that she will head to the ship, find the scientist, bring him to the deck of the ship, and signal back to Stanley so he can assassinate him. Stanley is sure that Luna's looks and her being similar age as the enemy will come in handy for Zeno's side. Not long after, Luna begins her act and slowly makes her way to the ship. While mounting the ramp, she intentionally falls, prompting Senku to give her his hand. She then reveals that she needs help as she is trying to escape from the tyrannical rule of Zeno. So far, it might seem like the plan is only going in Zeno's way. However, it is soon revealed that Senku is certain that this young pretty lady is also a spy, just like Jen. He then gets excited, since he is going to extract information regarding Zeno from Luna. But what excites Senku the most is the fact that there is going to be a spy versus spy battle. In another scene, we see Tsukasa and his team wandering the forest looking for Zeno's base, expressing the urgency of finding intel. Minami is seen trying to send peace treaty message over the radio, although they are unsure if it is received. Later, Luna is unsure of where to find Taiju. She quickly deduces that Taiju must be a guy that is just like her type, so she decides this mission is going to be a piece of cake. Luna even takes her time, analyzing all the men of her type, but none gives off Taiju vibes. Eventually, a lady walks in, calling out Taiju, asking him to carry some logs to the deck. Seeing this, Luna's expectations have exceeded as she did not think for a scientist to look like this. Now, she has to figure out how to get Taiju to the deck. To her surprise, he is already there, so she quickly decides to signal Stanley to take his shot. Just then, Senku walks in, asking Luna to spill all the information about Zeno. Soon, Francois and Ryusui arrives, with the former offering her bar to persuade Luna. At the bar, Ryusui tells Senku that he should take ice cream for Luna, since everyone likes it. Shortly after, Francois begins to prepare the ice cream from scratch, but since they don't have any vanilla extract, Senku decides to make it by himself. He quickly begins a process that the others didn't trust at the beginning, but once it starts giving off the sweet aroma, they quickly realize why Senku is who he is. Soon, they end up preparing the ice cream. Meanwhile, Luna sees that Taiju is once again on the deck, so she decides to signal Stanley, but Nikki approaches her, telling her to take some rest as she was hurt. Just then, Senku arrives and hands over the ice cream to Luna, along with everyone else. After taking a lick off of the ice cream, they all lose their minds by how good it tastes. Later, Luna uses one of Zeno's lines to define how much she enjoyed the ice cream. Hearing this, Senku quickly realizes and reveals to everyone that Zeno was once his mentor at NASA. On the ship, Luna makes a statement that triggers Senku's memories. He tells her that he knows who the enemy is by her words. It is revealed that Dr. X was Senku's mentor. We are introduced to a flashback where Senku is 10 years old working on a rocket prototype with Taiju. The rocket explodes. Later at their house, Senku is curious as to why the rocket explodes, but Taiju is clueless. Senku then creates a report which he translates into a book impressing Taiju. Senku disguises an email as if it was written by an elementary school student, but attaches complex documents of the research about why his rocket exploded to it. It reaches the NASA scientists, and they are shocked at the complexity, thinking an adult did this and takes it for a prank. They ignore it, but Zeno replies to Senku. Zeno sends him all of the components that he needs to correct his situation. He also tells Senku not to be led astray by noisy data. Senku then does research on the device that he needs and is shocked at the hefty amount. However, determined, Senku takes a plane to the USA to meet his father. His father is excited to see him, but Senku dismisses him and only wants the credit card in order to purchase the items for the rocket. Senku tells his father that he is leaving and will return when the credit card expires, shocking him. He then uses the car to buy all of the equipment necessary to continue his research. Now armed with the equipment and Zeno's research from his online classes, Senku vows to investigate everything. After completing Project Helium-3, Zeno receives an email from Senku telling him that the rocket didn't explode. Later, Senku and Taiju use the rocket and a remote control car. The car takes off and explodes, and Senku goes back to the drawing board. Zeno then presents the Project Helium-3 document to his superior, but it is rejected. Out in the field, Taiju asks Senku why he asks for research that doesn't pertain to the rocket. Senku explains that there is so much they don't know, and he is just curious to find out. Just then, Senku receives an email from Zeno telling him that science is power. Zeno then goes on to explain that rockets can be used as weapons to guide and rule over the masses. Senku rejects this notion and declares that he is just curious about everything and wants to know the secrets of the universe. In the cafeteria, Zeno was asked by one of his colleagues if he were transported back to the Stone Age, what he would do. Zeno then replies that he would create weapons and become a dictator. However, Senku's father stops him and tells him the other scientists would arise as well and they would want to know more about the world. Zeno then explains that there would be a face-off. Later, Senku is in his lab telling himself that he has to know everything. The next day, Senku tells Taiju that he's going to Africa. He then leaves and travels all over the world in the name of science. His father is excited that Senku is coming to the USA, and Zeno overhears this. Later, Senku and Zeno side by side look up at an apparatus, smiling. Senku's father smiles as he greets him, and Zeno walks away. A day before the petrification, Senku is studying the birds that have been turned to stone. Zeno then uses Senku's research to give explanations to the other scientist. Other researchers deduce that the birds that are made of stone are living beings because they have organs. Dr. Zeno is then contacted and asked for his input. Senku is seen figuring out the cause of the bird turning to stone. Later at the lab, Senku is seen trying to make gasoline out of plastic bottle caps. Just then, Taiju comes into the lab and tells Senku that he has feelings for Yuzuriha. But Senku dismisses him and shows everyone that he made the gasoline. In the USA, during the DARPA tech demo, Zeno shows everyone the stone bird. He goes on a rant about the intricacies, but is cut off by Stanley Snyder, who tells him to get to the point. Zeno tells them that the brainwaves are still active in the bird. Stanley suggests if they happen to get hit by the weapon, they just have to stay conscious. Later, Carlos is on one knee with a ring flattering Luna, and suddenly the petrification weapon hits. Stanley warns everybody to stay conscious. Later, as everybody is turned to stone, they remember the words of Stanley. As years go by and the environment starts to change, Zeno slides from under Stanley's hand. Later, we see Senku in stone form counting. Thinking as long as he is conscious, he has a chance to reawaken. Zeno, while in his stone form, plans to look for corn for livestock and fuel. Knowing it will be on the west coast, he deduces that other scientists will locate in the area. Just then, both of them break out of their molds. Out in the wilderness, Zeno self-revives as the rocks break from around him. As he observes his surroundings, he notices a cave and starts to dig. He finds nitric acid, and Stanley also revives. Stanley is curious as to how much time has passed, and Zeno tells him it's been a few thousand years. As Zeno goes on a rant, Stanley stops him and looks for his cigarettes. Zeno, remembering the words of Senku's father, tells Stanley that the race for humanity is on. Zeno and Stanley use nitric acid to revive the team. As they revive Carlos, he regurgitates a ring. Zeno examines it and finds out that it is made of platinum, delighting him. Zeno explains that they can use platinum to make nitric acid so that they can produce gunpowder. After they revive a few more of the crew members, they head out to find a home base. After they settle into their location, they start to build a factory, and before long they develop firearms. Pleased with the progress that they are making, Zeno tells Stanley that they are at the pinnacle of the stone world. After Stanley checks his target, he notices tobacco plants. They then dry out the leaves and use it as a cigarette. Zeno goes on a rant about him and Stanley being monocrats, to which he agrees. Back in the present, Ryusui explains that Senku and Zeno self-revived at the same time and were able to get nitric acid. However, one used nitric acid for giving life and the other to take away life. Luna, however, is curious as to what they were talking about and tries to figure out why Senku knows Zeno. As Taiju explains something to Senku, Luna is shocked to find out that Taiju is on the deck. Luna, calling herself a capable woman, readies herself to point out Taiju to Stanley. At the same time, Ryusui and Senku talk about the Medusa weapon being used as a bargaining chip because of Zeno's love for weapons. Luna, scared, prepares to point at Taiju for Stanley. Luna remembers Taiju's good deeds and puts her fingers in her nose. She then goes to the edge of the boat to signal to the others that Zeno might know someone named Senku. Ryusui suspiciously looks at her. Max then calls Zeno and tells him about the mission. Senku's ship picks this up, but the signal is encrypted. Ryusui quickly deduces that Luna has sent a message to the enemy. Just as Stanley is ready to pull the trigger, he is interrupted by Zeno. Zeno explains that Taiju was a decoy and the real leader is Senku. Curious, Stanley asks Zeno, "How does he look?" Zeno then goes to his storage and replays Senku's voice. He deduces that he is 5'7" and his age is 19. Stanley, armed with this information, goes through a process of elimination with each of the crew members that are on the deck. As Ryusui alerts everybody to take cover, Stanley easily finds out who Senku is. Senku, realizing the situation by looking at Luna, then runs out of Stanley's line of sight, impressing him. Stanley then asks Zeno if he wants Senku dead. He thinks that Senku would be a great asset to him, but he doesn't believe that he would accept his offer for world dominance. He then tells Stanley to kill him. Witty. Senku then uses a bag of starch with water to make a bulletproof shield. As Stanley fires and the bullet is about to hit him, he explains that the method that he used to make a bulletproof vest was all conjecture. After the crew hears the gunfire, it's already too late. Taiju finds Senku lying at the front of the boat, covered in blood. The scene then shifts to Stanley descending from the tree in front of Max and Carlos, telling them that the scientist is dead. They inquired about Luna, but he tells them that they can save her or not. It's up to them. Meanwhile, Luna is panicking as Ryusui and everyone else carries Senku, laying him on the bed, and gathers together discussing the situation at hand. Ryusui starts planning the next move, which causes everyone to go silent and stare. Taiju tells Senku not to talk and bandages him up, while Kinro argues with Ginro about talking too loudly and not exposing Senku's state to the enemy. Kaseki is observing the bag of flour that Senku mixed, which may have saved his life and softened the bullet's impact, Senku knowing they would aim for his chest. The scene then shifts to Luna now admiring Senku's foresight while crying for him because he's hurt. At that very moment, Senku passed out, Francois concerned, evidently stating that they need a doctor. Luna comes over to check Senku's blood pressure, stating that it's down, as we come to find out that she was a student studying in medical school to become a doctor. Taiju then kneels and asks Luna to save Senku. The scene shifts to Chrome scouting the enemy's camp, not seeing a way that they can break in or break through for an attack, knowing they would be on the receiving end of flying arrows. As they are discussing what to do, there are figures standing behind them, unbeknownst to them, Tsukasa and company. Kohaku is very excited, exclaiming that mighty reinforcements are here. Wondering how they found them, Chrome asked how they got there, to which Suika says that they followed the trail of flowers that Jen left behind. They now begin to discuss and strategize how they are going to make it to the enemy's base, to not only sneak in, but break Jen out while capturing Dr. Zeno and make an escape. The only solution so far that they can see is digging their way in underground. Unaware of Senku's current state, they make plans to ask Senku for all the equipment. At that very moment, a call from the Perseus came in, and a list of numbers are sounded out. The message is made clear that Senku had been sniped and is still alive, to everyone's shock and surprise. Senku sends a message for Chrome to take up the mantle. The scene shifts to Senku saying, "You know what to do," referring to Chrome as the scientist in his place. Chrome then declares he can make and produce what's needed. Tsukasa declares they would need time to get it done. The scene shifts again to the boat, and those on it are having a meeting about the enemy, discussing terms of surrender and confusing the enemy, skewing their assessment in a particular direction. The scene shifts to Ukyo and the others making preparations to hand over the Medusa to Dr. Zeno, along with a lie to confuse them and buy time. We now see where Dr. Zeno holds the Medusa, asking Jen about it, to where Jen now becomes dramatic in his acting, along with Dr. Zeno asking him if he knows what it is. Jen started to explain to Dr. Zeno what the Medusa was and how many they found, looking nervous and fearful, as he explains. Brody comes out of nowhere, not buying it, seeing as they lied about who the real scientist was in the beginning. Setting aside Jen's trustworthiness, Dr. Zeno comes to the realization that what he holds in his hands is beyond the technology of the old world. Stanley appears out of nowhere, asking many questions on how to use it and its range. Jen starts to explain that only particular members of their team know how, but his expression changes as he says that it is inescapable, like the beam from thousands of years ago. Dr. Zeno leaves, as he declares he doesn't know whether it's true or not, as Maya gleefully grabs Jen and starts to sing as she carries him away. Dr. Zeno makes it near the ground floor, asking Dr. Brody if he can finish and when can they expect it. Dr. Brody claims he can get it done in 2 weeks. Maya starts to sing louder and squeezes Jen more. Maya starts to sing louder and squeeze Jen to prevent him from catching wind of Dr. Zeno's plan. However, he sees it and is confident that he gave Senku and the others time to prepare. The scene shifts to Chrome declaring how he's counting on everyone to begin to make themselves useful. The plans are drawn up to build a mobile drill to infiltrate the enemy's base. Chrome is standing in shock after seeing something surprising. In front of him stands Hyoga with his sharp weapon. Hyoga uses a powerful spear technique and quickly cuts through Chrome. Everyone standing there gets shocked. But suddenly, the scene shifts, and we see Hyoga is actually digging the ground with his spear. On the other side, Kaseki shows a special weapon that he has made. This is a spinning sword, also called a drill science ultimate blade. Everyone looks at it and thinks they can defeat their enemies with it. Meanwhile, Ryusui begins thinking deeply. He is trying to find a way to send these weapons to their teammates secretly. Suddenly, he gets an idea. After a while, we see Nikki standing in front of a tunnel, saying that it is difficult to make a tunnel, but Ryusui calms them. Next, we see Taiju. He is looking at Senku from far away. Senku is very weak and lying in bed. Taiju enters the room and asks Luna and Yuzuriha to take good care of Senku. Both girls agree and promise to help Senku. Then we learn that Taiju is going to take weapons to their team. The scene changes again, and we see Luna's lovers. They notice Taiju and his car. They start arguing among themselves about who should follow that car. At the same time, Taiju himself walks towards them and waves. This shocks them. Taiju introduces himself and tells them that he knows they are keeping an eye on him. He even says he knows one of them is supposed to follow him, so it is better if he gives them advice. Luna's lovers get confused and shout that they are his enemies. Taiju calmly replies that he doesn't care. He is going on his path. One of Luna's lovers, Carlos, is sitting with Taiju. He is nervous. He asks about Luna in English. Taiju smiles and says he doesn't fully understand what he is saying, but Luna is safe and taking care of his friend. Taiju says that some people call Luna a spy, but he doesn't mind. As long as she is with them, she will be safe. The man thinks he does not understand much, but this guy seems kind. Meanwhile, back at Senku's place, Minami asks if Taiju really knows how to drive. Yuzuriha is shocked and Nikki mentions Taiju drove illegally the time he fled from Maz. Then we see the car is going very fast and swaying left and right. Carlos gets very scared. Taiju laughs and says his driving experience is low, that's why this is happening. Carlos thinks that today may be his last day alive. He quickly takes control of the car and drives it properly. Later, he wonders why he is helping his enemies. Back at the boat, Kinro asks Ryusui if giving the lab cart to Taiju was a good idea. What if someone follows him? Ryusui answers that Taiju will meet Ukyo first. Ukyo has super hearing. He can sense anything faster than the car. Then we see Carlos tied up by Kohaku and her team. Taiju reaches there and is shocked. He asks why they tied him up because Carlos helped him. Hyoga says if they let him go, he will tell Dr. Zeno everything. Chrome agrees. He says if the enemy learns about the tunnel, their plan will fail. Taiju realizes he didn't think of this. He admits that he is not smart and laughs at himself. Carlos hears the word tunnel and becomes shocked. He cannot believe they are making a tunnel. He now realizes how serious and smart their plan is. Everyone gets back to work. They are building and digging, but then their tools stop working. The weapons are not strong enough. Luckily, they have a large drill machine. Taiju starts the drill and breaks the huge stones easily. Now the work continues again. Everyone feels happy. Now, Senku is still weak, but helping others. He gives information about different materials. Luna and Yuzuriha are shocked to see him work in this condition. They try to stop him, but Francois explains that science and battle cannot stop Senku. Helping others is good for his health too. Senku, with a weak voice, says it's time for his maintenance. He asks for the stethoscope. Luna picks it up and checks his lungs. While doing this, Luna realizes something. She wants Senku to be her boyfriend. She tells Senku that even if he only agrees to think about it, that is enough for her. Senku replies that if she wants him to surrender to enemies, he won't do that. But Luna is not asking that. She asks if he will be her boyfriend. Senku is totally shocked. Meanwhile, Hyoga and Tsukasa are discussing something. They say they need a floor map of the enemy kingdom. Taiju hears this. He goes to Carlos and requests him to make the map. Carlos gets angry and says he is not some artist. But Taiju calmly says it's okay. If he cannot do it, he can say no. Then the scene changes. We now see Ukyo. He gets a call from Luna. He doesn't recognize her, but hearing Luna's voice, Carlos immediately recognizes her. When the call is decoded, Ukyo gets scared. Carlos also becomes worried. Chrome and Kohaku also come there. They find Carlos crying loudly and asks what happened. They come to know that Luna tells Carlos that she has found a boyfriend and his name is Senku. Carlos is still crying loudly. Taiju feels happy, but others are shocked. Carlos accepts his defeat in love and agrees to help Senku's team. Now he starts drawing the map of the enemy kingdom. This helps the team a lot. Their plan moves forward. Next, we see Dr. Zeno and his team. They are building something big. We don't know exactly what, but in 2 days, they are planning to attack Senku's team. Jen listens to this and understands that something dangerous is coming. Now it is the day of the attack. Stanley is flying a plane towards Senku's boat, but this time, Senku's team is ready. They also have a plane. Ryusui and Senku sit inside. Even though Senku is still injured, he is going to fight. Their plane takes off. A thrilling dogfight begins in the sky. Ryusui and Senku are flying their plane against Stanley. Both teams are trying to outsmart each other in the air. From a distance, Yo is excited to watch the action, but Luna is very worried about Senku. She thinks Senku should not be flying because he is still not fully recovered. While flying, Senku suddenly shows a gun. Stanley becomes shocked to see it. Minami also feels surprised and asks how Senku made a machine gun. But Yo tells her that they don't have a machine gun. They are just pretending to be strong, using a bluff with one stolen gun. The air battle becomes intense. Both planes keep trying to get behind the other. Tetsuya explains to Minami that in air fights, the one who gets behind wins because they can aim easily. Minami asks how he knows all this, and he replies that he used to write military stories. While fighting, Senku starts feeling dizzy. Then suddenly, a part of their plane falls off. Ryusui informs Senku about the missing part, but Senku tells him not to worry. Ryusui now realizes that he cannot beat Stanley in speed, so he uses brakes suddenly. Stanley's plane moves ahead, and now Ryusui is behind him, but Stanley surprises them by flying his plane upwards. He creates a smoke cloud to disappear. Ryusui and Senku lose sight of him. Then Ryusui sees Stanley flying even higher. Stanley does this to reduce his speed and get behind Ryusui. Ryusui never expects this, but now Ryusui also does the same thing. He takes his plane high into the sky. Then, Ryusui aims his gun at Stanley's plane, but Stanley flies in a zigzag pattern to avoid being hit. This surprises Senku and Ryusui. On the ground, Senku's team watches and supports them. Meanwhile, we see Matsukaze guarding the land and water. The team is worried about a surprise attack. Suddenly, we see a submarine moving underwater. It belongs to Dr. Zeno's team. They have created a powerful submarine to attack Senku's boat. Minami sees the submarine and becomes shocked. Just then, the submarine attacks with a blast. Chaos begins. Zeno's team uses the chance to climb onto Senku's ship. One of the enemies points a gun at Minami and her friends and tells them to surrender. Next, Maya enters the ship. When the team tries to stop her, she easily defeats them. Then, the enemies also capture Luna and tie her up. It looks like Dr. Zeno's team is winning. Back in the sky, Ryusui and Senku plan to use science to turn the tide. Ryusui flies higher while Senku plans to use acetylene gas, which is dangerous for engines. Senku throws gas canisters towards Stanley's plane, and in the end, one gas canister hits the enemy plane. Now the scene changes. We see Matsukaze and Maz defeating Zeno's men on the ship. Maz uses a new fighting move that he learned from Hyoga. Then another enemy throws bombs. Everyone becomes afraid, but Matsukaze throws all the bombs into the sky using his wooden stick and they explode in the air. One enemy tries to throw a big bomb, but Maya stops him. Meanwhile, they talk. Stanley's plane crashes. Ryusui and Senku's plane also gets hit by acetylene gas and begins to fall. Now Senku's and Stanley's planes both crash. Stanley looks injured. Ryusui and Senku go to find him. They see his plane, but someone shoots at them. However, the shooter misses on purpose. Surprisingly, the person they have been fighting is not Stanley. It is a woman pretending to be him. Then the real Stanley enters the battle. He is Dr. Zeno's secret wild card. Stanley attacks Matsukaze and Maz and defeats both easily. It looks like Dr. Zeno's team has won. Senku also agrees that they are in checkmate. But then something unexpected happens. Tsukasa enters and points his weapon at Dr. Zeno's neck. Dr. Zeno becomes shocked. Dr. Zeno is caught. His enemies have pointed their weapons at him. When Dr. Zeno sees the mud on the hands of Kohaku, and he realizes these people have dug a tunnel to reach here. A flashback starts, and we see Chrome comes up from underground and ends up below a cow. Everyone gathers around and notices they have reached Dr. Zeno's barn. Suddenly, Suika falls into the cow's food, and Chrome tells her to be careful. While looking at the cow food, they notice many corn seeds. Kohaku becomes happy. She says if they win against Dr. Zeno, they will get plenty of food and also the magic revival liquid. Now Suika and Kohaku quietly move toward Dr. Zeno's main room. They watch the guards from a hidden place. Then Suika becomes a pumpkin to hide and walks near the guards. Gen sees all this from a distance. He also notices Kohaku. He understands the plan. So Gen starts pretending to vomit. While the guards get distracted by Gen's drama, Kohaku uses this chance. She knocks them out. The others arrive soon, but when Kohaku opens the next door, many more guards are waiting. So Tsukasa comes forward and fights them. This is how the group finally reaches Dr. Zeno's room. Back to present, Chrome looks around the area. He is amazed. He says this is the science of the 21st century. But suddenly, an emergency alarm starts ringing. Gen and Suika become afraid. Kohaku ties up Dr. Zeno quickly. Then they all run into a cave. Chrome tells his plan. He is holding a bomb. When the enemies follow them, he will blow up the bomb to close the tunnel. Kohaku says she trusts him, but then they realize there is no one to light the bomb. They all run. They tell Taiju to escape, but Taiju first helps others. Then the bomb explodes. Everything goes as planned, but then something goes wrong. The tunnel collapses. Chrome is confused. Dr. Zeno tells him they are now stuck from both sides. Meanwhile, one of Dr. Zeno's men is told to attack from behind. But this man named Brody refuses. Instead, he starts digging. Taiju and others also start digging. Chrome picks up a stick and starts digging toward his friends. Dr. Zeno tries to manipulate Chrome by praising him. He tells Chrome to think carefully, but Chrome does not get fooled. He continues digging toward his team. Finally, Chrome and Taiju meet. Chrome shouts on the mic that they have captured Dr. Zeno. Meanwhile, Luna is still tied up. Her lover Max comes and starts to free her. Luna tells him that her boyfriend is Senku. Max becomes sad but still helps her. Luna tells him to also free Francois. They might need to open the plane. He agrees to help because of his love for her. After freeing everyone, they all jump from the ship pretending they are in danger. Luna and Max also escape with them. Later, Senku and his friends have tied Dr. Zeno. Then someone says, "Doctor, Zeno is not a normal person. He is a genius scientist." Next, we see Senku and Zeno together. Senku says they are going somewhere, but he doesn't say where. At the same time, Luna and her team are also reaching there. Luna sees Senku and becomes emotional. Luna starts imagining a happy life with Senku. But when Senku comes near, he just thanks her for bringing the people here. Luna feels happy with this small praise. Ukyo looks around and says maybe they are the only ones moving forward. He doesn't understand why. On their way, they knock out one of Zeno's guards. Then everyone enters a ship and starts it. The remaining guards see them and fire bullets, but they miss. Senku's team escapes safely. Now, everyone might think they will attack Stanley and others. But Senku has a different plan. He wants a peaceful talk. He asks Chrome if there is someone they can talk to. Chrome remembers Brody. He says Brody chose to dig and save people instead of fighting. Jen agrees. He says Brody even smiled when he caught Jen lying. This shows Brody is kind. Next, we see Brody. He gets a call from Senku. Senku tells him the formula for revival liquid. Brody, Zeno, and others are shocked. Senku says his team knows how to make it. Their goal is to revive 10 million people. Brody gets nervous. He asks what will happen to Dr. Zeno. Senku says Dr. Zeno is safe with them. Now, both sides agree to start a peaceful talk. On the other side, Stanley is angry. He doesn't know how Senku escaped. Suddenly, he sees Senku's ship. He takes a gun and starts firing. But on Senku's ship, they have a Medusa device. Yuzuriha tells everyone her plan. They all act like they are turning into stone. Stanley's team gets scared and jumps off the ship. Only Stanley stays. He fires at the Medusa and throws it into the sea. Now he understands it doesn't work anymore. At the end, everyone on Senku's team escapes safely. They all raise their hands to say goodbye. Stanley has a chance to shoot, but he doesn't. In the last scene, we learn Senku and the team are going to South America, the place where the light beams started everything.